But here's some audio. Our man, the anchor of the SEN cricket coverage, Gerard Whateley, and his thoughts on Marnus Labuschagne.
I just want to go on record and say this is utterly ridiculous from Australia that they're using Marnus as their enforcer. I think it's just the height of idiocy. This is just awful.
Australia employed Marnus Labuschagne as its enforcer, the absurdity of which had to be seen to be believed. By the end, Kohli treated the idea with the disdain it was begging for.
Okay, well, there's no disdain here, Brian. There is certainly an enforcer from the SEN variety. We talk of Gerard Whateley. Good afternoon, Gerard, and welcome to the Run Home with Joel and Fletch.
Joel Fletch, lovely to be with you. So, do I understand that there's an Ethereum coin in the ether here? Is that right,
Gerard? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to take you back to August 17th, and it was a running joke. So we interviewed the Aussie cricket side, and the boys were talking about Marnus behind his back.
Yes.
Saying that, look, he thinks he's a bowler now, fast bowler, chat. Marnus came in, and Marnus said to me, I reckon I can bowl 135, and I took him on. And unfortunately, I lost the bet, but I agree with you. Why was he trying to bowl bounces, and why was he trying to be the enforcer?
Yeah, so it's not his choice. This is a strategic decision that was made, which I'll never quite grasp. I thought, so it seemed to me that it felt like an in-joke with the team, and you go, okay, so if there's a rainy day in Sydney where the series is decided and for a little bit of a lark that might happen, then I could live with that. But it happened on day 2 of the series, and you go, no. If it's not an unheard of tactic to bowl that bodyline field and to bowl bounces to dry the scoring up. But Marnus Labuschagne's not to be doing that. I found that it was just so silly in prospect, and that Australia went to it so early in the series, I thought was embarrassing, and part of what they need to rethink. And then just as matters totally got away from them at the end of day 3, Reddy took to Marsh and made him look like a club cricketer, and Kohli took to Labuschagne and made that just the folly that it was. So, yeah, I hope we don't see that again during the series. I hope there's a serious rethink about that.
So, Gerard, obviously our batting wasn't great and our bowling wasn't great, and there's talk that there may be some changes. I'm starting to pick up that you're thinking maybe we need another bowler. Would that be correct?
No, I just think, so they are missing Cam Green, so that's really clear. He is their fourth paceman, as opposed to Mitch Marsh, who is sort of 10 overs from time to time. Marsh wasn't quite ready for the repeat spells. His first spell was excellent. He took 2 wickets, 2 quality wickets, but by the time his workload stretched on, he wasn't conditioned for that. No, the 3 quick... Australia's fate on a bowling front is with the big 4. And you would hope that they will... Well, they bowled India out for 150 in the first innings. That was the peculiarity of the test match, wasn't it? And maybe none of them were quite conditioned for the long days that India made them field for. So that would improve. But no, the issue is clearly the batting. And it's been the batting for not just 2 days here. It's been the batting for more than a year now.
Okay, and of course we'll have the coverage as well, Brian. Just a question, and we get these from the listeners too, Gerard, and we see all the clips, and the SEN digital team doing a wonderful job. Take us into that commentary box and how you're watching ball by ball. So I get fascinated by that, how the callers commentate the cricket, Brian, how they can see every inch. Are you watching monitor? Are you watching the game live with binoculars? Are you partly doing both? How do you mostly digest the cricket when you're the lead caller?
So every box is a little bit different. It depends how far you are from the action and what the view is like. The lowest box is Brisbane, which is absolutely glorious for cricket. And the highest position is probably Adelaide, which gorgeous ground night, and it's my favourite test match, but you are just a little too far from it, so that's binoculars. So yeah, it's binoculars and just looking out the window, and then a mixture of both. Everyone's got their own style, so this is just me. I tend not to use the monitor for the live vision, but for the replays. I just sort of like to feel as close to it as you can be and have the widest view of where balls are going and that sort of thing.
And that view, you'd see Virat Kohli, the great player, bring up his 7th ton on Aussie soil. Did we give it to him, Gerard?
Yes, and the strategy of that is a bit lost on me as well. There was a way to contain Kohli to either ensure that he didn't get to his century or that, an India might have had to declare on him while he was trying to do that. But, yeah, we allowed that game to go into fast forwards in really peculiar circumstances. And then he took it, and it was brilliant to watch. So he came to this series with all the questions of an ageing great against him. In the first innings, he looked every inch that. And by the end of the test match, he's in it up to his ears, and he'll feel just so confident and comfortable in circumstances and conditions that he's absolutely thrived. Is that 7 test centuries on Australian soil is sort of not to be glossed over. Is it puts him with figures from the ancient past in cricket, really, 9 and 7, Hobbs and Hammond, and so he is the best performed modern cricketer on Australian shores, and he's got 4 more test matches on what shapes as his farewell red ball tour. And he was feeling it. You could watch him in the field yesterday as India were moving towards victory, and just how much he loves that. He loves the competitiveness. He loves the arch rival. And he commanded the circumstances really from the middle of day 3 onwards.
As I said, the SEN coverage I thought was absolutely brilliant, and all the talent there you have. And Pat Cummins caught up with Virat and Kohli, to which he said, Gerard, I dare say there won't be any changes. Now, we're getting a lot of text messages, obviously coming up with different options for opener, but there's a few texts coming through about Michael Neser as an option as that 4th bowler. Thoughts?
He's done his hamstring, unfortunately,
Ooh.
so he won't be part of this test series. He would have played the 3rd test in Brisbane, and Scott Boland would have played the 4th test in Melbourne. I think they were committed to that as a plan to keep everybody fresh. But Neser did his hamstring in the MCG Shield game, so it won't be him. It'll be really interesting to see how Australia reacts. We will all overreact, and that's our right to, and I think it's our right to critique and to see where changes should be made. But there's always a proportional response. So you can cross your fingers, close your eyes, and hope everything's going to be right for the next game, or you can measure a proportional response. So my position is, if any sporting team performs that poorly, there's an obligation to make a level of change. And I think one change in the batting order is I couldn't play Marnus again with the way that he's presented into this series. He would have to go and play some cricket that convinced me that he got his technique and his style back before I could put him into a test match again. So it'd be really interesting to see. These things are seen as drastic, and they shouldn't be. It's not forever. It's just for now. He doesn't look likely to succeed in the next game, and Australia needs to win the next game. 1-0 down, 5 test series. They quite rightly say there's time, but they're not the holders of the trophy, so they must win in Adelaide. And that should sharpen the mind, I think.
Gerard, who would come in then? If you're saying Marnus is out, who would you bring in? And another question I want to ask you about McSweeney. What do you think of Nathan McSweeney?
No, we didn't learn anything about McSweeney in that test match, unfortunately. And now he goes to his home ground. So that's just a watching brief. Is the first innings, there was a lot to absorb, and most openers on debut don't succeed. History says that. And then the second innings was a total write-off. Is Australia in those circumstances, they had to avoid that at all costs. They got stuck with that 25-minute block, and Bumrah made a mess of them. So he gets just a straight wave through, and we'll see you in Adelaide. So I wouldn't do anything drastic. Is they picked a reserve batter in Josh Inglis, because he and Alex Carey are the 2 form batters in the country for the season so far. So they already put him into the squad. And all I would do is pose to you the question, who is more likely to make runs in the next test, Marnus Labuschagne or Josh Inglis?
Yep.
And I would say the answer is Inglis. Just on current form, he's not a natural number 3, so you've got a decision to make whether you want to bat Smith at 3 and Inglis at 4. But I think... I don't believe Marnus will make runs to my selector's eye. You can hold faith, cross your fingers, and he might. Because I'm not saying he's finished. He's a class player. He's just hopelessly out of form. Inglis is in great form. Put him in. I think he's more likely to make runs. And that's all I'm trying to do. Just who is more likely to succeed in the next match. That's it.
Hey, Gerard, we know you've got a plane to catch. Final thoughts, two things. The first one being that I felt, without being a cricketing doyen, Brian he played Causey Shield. But was it terribly unfair of McSweeney just to throw him straight as opener? And I know you want to stay with the kid, and that's fine, and I agree with that. But is it unfair to put him in that position again? And I know number threes often come in early, but what are your thoughts there?
No, I think Australia staged an audition and McSweeney made the most runs. So he plays. And yes, he's not a natural opener and he's going to have to learn it. He's going to have to learn it quickly. But he was better prepared and in better form than the three alternatives who are openers but aren't making runs. So his natural position is long-term, probably 4. I think he's a long-term successor to Steve Smith. But just for the time being, this is the job the team needs him to do. And I think he'll get the 5 tests to either succeed or fail at it. But I just want to keep. It's not about McSweeney.
No,
it's about whether Australia's established batters can make industrial-sized runs, and if they can't, the McSweeney question is entirely academic. And I feel the same way coming out of this Test match as I did feeling coming into it. It's not about McSweeney. It's about the established batters. It's about Khawaja. It's about Labuschagne. It's about Smith. And then we saw some good signs from Head, Marsh and Carey yesterday, which hopefully serve them well. Now, Australia will live or die by whether those batters can make big runs in Australia.
Now, Gerard, I'm going to change tact here. Am I getting off the Swannies? Am I jumping back onto the Giants? What's going on with with the horse leaving? What do you know? Was he pushed? Was he pushed or was he had enough? What's going on?
No, he definitely wasn't pushed. It's a really momentous day for Sydney, and I think it's part of what makes them a great club. Is John Longmire has been a phenomenal coach throughout this. Well, he defines the era, doesn't he? 12 final series in 14 years in charge, 5 grand finals and a premiership. And there was just a hint around after the grand final loss that it might hasten the end for him. I think everybody, including him, was thinking the end was actually 2025. He'd do one more year, but then with some time to think about it, just the grueling nature of the day-to-day job has worn him down. And I think you can totally understand that. They put together a clever plan about 2 years out that Dean Cox would be their next coach. They've worked hand in hand for this precise moment, just as Paul Roos and John Longmire did the last time around. So Sydney have perfected this move. They're really the only ones who have shown that it can work. John stays on in sort of an elevated role, but he, in his own words, he needs the time to refresh and to regenerate. I think it's the exact right moment. They're a fearsomely good team who are going to carry the burden of 2 bad grand final losses into 2025, and they weren't going to be able to do anything to convince anyone unless they got back to the grand final. And that's just an incredibly hard journey to live, and it's an impossibly hard bar to clear. In a way, they just get a fresh start here. Is Dean Cox has got 4 years with a fully established and ready to go team to put his stamp on it, to retool them, whether it's immediately in 25, I think they'll stay in contention. And he'll get the opportunity to win a flag in the first 4 years of his coaching because of the timing of the handover. So I salute John Longmire on the way out. I think it's incredibly good timing for the Swans, and it allows them to restart rather than live this torturous journey of just trying to make amends.
So I'm on the Giants.
Yeah. For the rugby league types, Brian, it sounds a bit like Christian Wolf, who's been sitting there behind Wayne Bennett. Yep. Gerard, you're about to get the final call, Mr. Whateley. Can you head to gate 34? Thank you very much, Gerard. We appreciate that in a major way. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
But if
Gerard.
my study's right, Ethereum was cheaper in August.
It
when
was-
you made the bet than it is when
exactly.
you'll be paying out
No,
big
that's-
time.
That's when I made the bet. I made the bet with him.
Yeah.
Either side, I said it's from today, and he says he agreed. So it's going to cost me
Oh,
$3,700.
no, it's not. Protest.
Yeah.
Good on you, Gerard. We'll catch up soon.
Good stuff. Cheers.
A 295-run pummeling, Brian. Where at the start, you go back to that first innings where Australia bowling, and you're thinking, okay, we're right here. And then who would have dreamt it would finish this way?
Yeah, no, it was the Kohli and the super kid. Jaiswal. Am I saying that correctly? Jaiswal?
Jaiswal left home as a
YB.
10-year-old.
I just call him YB.
Yeah.
What a great story that is.
I know.
But I've heard it enough now. It's
Yeah.
getting into the areas of Damien Cook's a beach sprinter and Billy Slater was a jockey.
That's right.
I can't hear it one more time.
And Scott Pendlebury was a basketball.
Oh,
Yeah,
let's just drop off.
Let's just drop off. But there you go. We rolled the tourists from 150, struggled in response, managing only 104. So the bowlers did their part at that stage and losing their first 6 wickets for 47. And then Jaiswal and Kohli, 6 for 487.
It was actually really good to watch.
It
those two.
was. That kid's just got an aura about him, hasn't he?
Well, I mean, so's Virat. Like, it was good just watching like the old ball and the young
Yeah.
ball go together because you'd imagine that there's not too many tests left for Kohli. I mean, he's retired from one days now, isn't he? And he's retired from T20. Obviously, not the captain anymore. So
Coming in with a bit of pressure too. Like
Yes.
his last 4 of his last 5 years, his average has been in the 20s, 30s. He had a good 2022, I think it was 2023. Sorry, but yeah, he stood up. The stage was sort of set for him, right, in
Yeah.
that second innings, and he delivered. And did it feel like to you guys that we sort of gave up at the back end of that innings to sort of let him get his century? I felt like there was sort of a surrender there in terms of just bowling Labuschagne.
Well, why did we do
I know
that?
the bowlers would have been tired, but it just felt like we gifted them that massive lead and the ability for us to bat late on day 3.
what was the Bison injured? Because he didn't bowl as much as I thought he would. Because Cameron Green, we knew that going into the test. So they said, well, Mitch Marsh is going to have to bowl some overs. But they sort of shared it amongst Marnus and Travis Head and Mitch Marsh. I thought he would have bowled more.
The total was pretty high. And like, you don't normally need a total in the last innings to declare that big. Were they sort of kind of playing to the Kohli ego, going, well, he's such a king.
Don't upset him.
They're going to want him to get the 100. So let's just let him get the 100, burn the clock, and maybe we can purge a draw out of it. Would that be a reason?
Oh, you wouldn't think so. There's been some commentary around saying we were a bit too nice. You know, the mental. Remember how what they call it, the mental? Instead of sledging, they changed
Fortitude?
it. No, mental.
Oh, is there a new term?
Oh,
No, it was,
Jousting?
no. Oh, far out. It's on the
they
tip of my
gave
tongue.
it, yeah.
Anyway.
Post sandpaper, it was
Correct.
like
We've got to
the new
change-
team.
Oh,
We've got to
okay.
change. Can't be,
So
can't
now
be
that-
aggressive.
Now
and-
everyone's calling back. Let's go back to the old days.
Okay,
you know.
well, that's rank.
No. Are we going to leave the same team? I reckon they've earned the right just to go for one more.
well,
Like,
that's
keep the same team. Because before this, we were flying.
That's a tough thing. So they're clearly outmatched in the first test. We obviously moved to a different venue, different conditions. Rohit Sharma comes in to
that's
the
a worry.
side, the captain.
That's a worry.
Bumrah, who was interim, he'll come back in. And then you've got this situation where you go, oh, are we clearly outmatched? Do we need a change?
No.
Because it's going to be hard to make the change 2-0 down instead of 1-0 down, right? Because there's going to be a lot of pressure with 3 to go. So that's a question. Cummins said late in the when he was doing the interviews with Colo and Virat that there will unlikely be changes for the second test, and that generally stays true.
The only thing
There's 11 days.
The only thing I'll say is, and I wish I had said it on air because I didn't, and now it sounds like I'm a post-mortem expert, but
Yeah,
I just had reservations around McSweeney. Like I thought it was unfair on McSweeney.
Who are you going to throw in?
Well,
you want
surely one of the other boys
want
could
the
just-
Croft? Well, let's go around the grounds. Bancroft at the moment.
No, even if you've got to put Smithy.
Oh, hang on.
anyone.
Around the grounds.
Cam Bancroft currently not out for 105.
Yeah, I know,
Sheffield
but
Shield.
yeah, I know, but it's not enough.
That's the one.
It's not enough.
Mental disintegration by Andrew.
Yeah.
So are
there
you
go.
saying Uzi should have taken the first ball of that second
of
innings?
course.
Like put the more senior person in, change
course.
things up?
Well, McSweeney's probably said like I'll take it on. I want to take it
that's
on.
why I'm here.
But and I don't know at number 3 you get to be facing the new ball more often than not, sometimes these days. But I just felt like this is a big, big arena. It's a big Tina. And, just send someone else forward. Don't you think?
Who?
Well, I don't care. Look, Marnus, anyone.
Well, no, he didn't want to do it, and Smithy didn't want to do it.
But why are we putting it on young McSweeney? Prue.
Okay, all right. What about the Greek god? You want him in?
No, same thing. No, the Greek god's got work to do, apparently.
Oh.
But boys, we are in the world of overreaction, right? We might end up winning this series 4-1.
Yeah, I'm all aboard.
Yeah, and everyone just so let's go back to India took on New Zealand at home, got flogged recently, and Jaiswal got 5 runs in a 30. Kohli couldn't score. He got a duck, I think, and a 1. He got 4 and 1. He got absolutely nothing. Siraj got nothing. They got nothing. So they were getting hammered from pillar to post. Then they come out to Australia. We'll pronounce favourites. So just everyone calm the farm.
Yeah, we'll be
just
right.
calm the farm.
We like hammering people, don't we?
Yeah, we do. We all pile in, but just relax. We'll be okay. There's class there. There's some runs there, but there's an elephant in the room as well. And the elephant happens to be related to a bloke we've just spoken about. This is said Elefante. You talk about Joe Frazier versus Muhammad Ali, Real Madrid versus Barcelona, the Celtics versus the Lakers, Nadal versus Federer, Brady versus Manning. All rivals, however, pale in significance to Marnus versus Fletcher.
Fletch, Marnus is bowling express off his long run up at the Wacker. No speed gun for proof, though. And he said, I can bowl 135 Ks. And I said, bullshit, Marnus. There's no way you can. He goes, do you want to bet? And he's right into his crypto.
Yep.
So I said, righto, an Ethereum coin. But it's got to be in a test match.
Marnus Labuschagne bowling some seam up. He's marked the run up. He's been bowling it in the shield. He's been bowling almost all bounces. This might be fun.
Do you honestly believe, Marnus, that you can bowl 135 kilometres an hour in a test match?
Certain.
Certain?
I'm certain.
Okay.
I'm very confident.
Ryan Harris.
Whose side would you rather be on, mine or Marnus's?
That's a really good question. We played against him a couple of weeks ago, and he was trying that hard. So you're in trouble.
My fastest ball this summer so far in Shield cricket's 134.
Oh,
so
they're not as accurate.
Yeah,
they're not as accurate. And Marnus,
yeah.
Marnus,
for your sake, I hope so.
3 back on the leg side, 2 back on the offside. Labuschagne over the wicket. The bouncer goes above the helmet. And Jaiswal knows he's coming. There's the grunt though. His pace is 135 kilometres an hour.
He's pushing it through. Labuschagne, 135.
Good zip there. He means business, doesn't he?
Marnus is going to bowl bouncers. That's how the field has been set. Digs it in wide of the off stump to Jaiswal, and it's a wide. I just want to go on record and say this is utterly ridiculous from Australia that they're using Marnus as their enforcer. I think it's just the height of idiocy.
The height of idiocy.
I agree, Gerard.
Was Brian taking the bet, seemingly?
Yeah, well, no. Well, I'm going to have to pay up.
What's the origins of it, Brian? So for those who don't know the story, how did this originate, this bet?
We were interviewing, Nathan Highmarsh and I were interviewing the Australian side in August 17th, if memory serves me correctly. And one of I think it might have been the Hoff, he said, Marnus thinks he can bowl 135.
Oh.
So I wrote that down on my notes.
Sliding doors, he's cost you.
No, anyway, then Marnus came in. I said, my little birdie told me that he can bowl 35. You still can. And I went, bullshit, Marnus. And because then I asked everyone, I did my research, and Aussie said, no way he can bowl. Aussie said he won't even get a bowl. Well, he certainly got a bowl, and he got 135 clicks, 135.3.
You have single-handedly, I've just deciphered this, you have single-handedly stuffed our side.
Why?
Because Marnus likes his crypto, as you said. Ethereum. Yeah. So he's now just all consumed about trying to, instead of worrying about batting, he's wasting all this net session trying to break you 135. Poor old Uzi, his last innings before coming into this test match, me standing right here.
Yeah, how many times I get him out?
2 in a row.
Yep.
To the point where I had to save him and say, Uzi, mate, we've got some big series coming up against India. We can't have you being gone down to a hat-trick by Brian Fletcher.
I did play Causey Shield.
But you did that to him. So you've stuffed Uzi. Yeah. You've stuffed Marnus.
Yep. It was your stuff.
Thank God our man Perkins in the soccer had a big day out. We'll get to that very, very later.
But hang on, we also had Mitchie Stark on last week. He aimed up all right.
He aimed up all right.
And then he got $2 million.
He did.
Oh, did you watch the IPL auction? It's one of the rankest things I've ever seen. Far out for all that money they have. There is no vibe.
Is there nothing?
they need like a band on the side or something, or someone
Bit of
cooking.
Bollywood.
Good paddles.
Great paddles. But
Is
a
it-
lot
is
of
it-
whispering, like a little whispering. They should have put a mic
Leaning.
under. Yeah.
Is there more atmosphere at the Magic Millions on the Gold Coast, is there?
Yes,
Yeah.
there
Is there?
is. There definitely there is.
Okay, gets worse for the Aussies because the captain, Rohit Sharma, he's in town as well. So that is a problem for us. But as we say, the second test, it kicks off December 6th. So it's nice and early, and SEN, once again, will have you covered there.